Hey now, friends, it's me, Lola.
And this is Dante.
And we hope that you can hear us okay. We have no mic in or nothing. And I listened to one of my last videos like this, and I'm like, wow, it sounded very muffled. But I don't know if that's because I was in the car and maybe it was the sound was coming through the Bluetooth or something. But anywho, it's me, Lola.
And this is Dante again.
And we have a special message. It's going to be very, very spontaneous today. If you are a creator, if you're a professional, career minded person, if you have a business or some type of side career, side hustle, then please come into the room. We got some stuff that we want to talk to you about. There's a lot of change in the air, a lot of change, and things are very, very exciting right now for most of us. It's a lot of opportunity in front of us, a lot of possibility in front of us. But we just want to talk to you about some things that we're noticing and that we're seeing and that we're thinking about for ourselves, and that we feel like you should know too.
Yeah, I completely agree.
And we're going to tie all of that into spiritual seasons, which is going to be a topic that we're covering on our upcoming podcast on the Smoke and Profit podcast.
I'm I always get excited when we're about to drop information, especially from our podcast, because I think it's relevant. I think people are really going to be interested in hearing it. But also, this topic, spiritual seasons, was something that was new to me. So I think um, as our audience is learning about it, and I'm also learning about it, I just get excited learning new things. So I'm ready for it.
I'm ready too. And I'm glad that you decided to come on and join me today because I actually need your mind for this. You know, we sort of spar with one another.
I like that.
Okay, well, I'm glad you like it. Grace and peace, Monica. We hope you are doing well. Grace and peace to anyone else that's on here, anyone else that comes back on through the replay. Sorry, I pulled I pulled up this broadcast on my iPad because I wanted to comment, but let me see. I can turn the volume down.
Yes.
And do it. So if you're not subscribed to the Smoking Profit podcast, then definitely go ahead and get subscribed so that you get access to our upcoming episode on spiritual seasons as soon as it comes out.
Yep. And the Smoking Profit podcast has over 100 episodes, which is really a cool milestone. Just thinking about how long that it's been going and the fact that it's over 100 episodes. I'm impressed and proud of you, by the way, Lola.
Thank you. You don't have to say it like that. It's funny too because when I first started, I wasn't like super consistent. The consistency didn't kick in until probably about, I don't know. The consistency kicked in and I take breaks, but usually our breaks from the podcast are in the summertime when, you know, we have the kids and stuff like that. And it's better for us to be more active with them. So thank you for saying that. Super appreciate it. Listen, my energy is kind of low today. So if I don't sound as peppy as normal, or if my words aren't flowing like usual, or if you hear me doing a deep sigh, it's because I don't feel real great. And I want to come on and talk to you. I hate that it seems like every time I want to come on and talk to them when I don't feel real good, right?
Yeah.
Like at least once every few months I come on and I'm like, I don't feel good, but I have to say this. So this is kind of one of these burning messages today. I've been thinking about a lot of stuff. I've been thinking about spiritual seasons. I've been thinking about my life, and what made me start thinking more about spiritual seasons recently is that I noticed a pattern in my life. So if you're wondering what a spiritual season is, a spiritual season is just a pattern. It's a pattern that you can pull out, and within this, excuse me, let me say this a little bit more clearly. It's a pattern within a time frame that you can identify and pull out and see some key themes within that pattern. So I've noticed that my life has patterns that happen, and like certain times of year, I am always doing kind of the same thing. Like when I start new meaningful endeavors for my personal life, or now that I'm married, like as a unit with Dante, then the stuff that we're starting is always happening in the fall and in the winter, the natural seasons of fall and winter. I noticed that. I was like, when I started my blog and got the idea for that, it was like in the cooler months. When I started my podcast, the first podcast I published was on December 30th. You know, when I started our business, it was also in the cooler months. So I'm like, all of this stuff is like happening around this time. That seems to be when fresh ideas start flowing for me, and when I want to like begin new things, and when I really have the courage to just step out and do it. So as I'm in this season where I'm thinking about all of the stuff I've started, even like a Facebook page started on September the 30th. You hear me? And a
Yeah.
Facebook group that like 2 years later, I started on September the 30th. I'm like, these patterns like are not happening coincidentally. Like there's a real pattern. Like, and this is a season for me where I do a lot of stuff with a lot of new things. I birth, I have the courage to try new things. I have the faith to step out and I do it. What do you think about that?
I have two thoughts about it. For starters, it's really cool that you were able to discern when your spiritual season is, and kind of that exciting part about this ending third, fourth quarter part of the year. For me, that just means that we're going to have some new things that are going to pop up. It's exciting because I don't know exactly what's going to flow in your head or what's going to come out, but
or flow in your head and your heart. Like it's not just
head.
mine.
Exactly.
You know?
But it's always exciting because that means there's something new, something that's about to happen, something that's about to arrive. So learning, I think I said this just a little bit earlier to you directly, but learning about spiritual seasons to me was completely new. It was something I had never thought about, something I hadn't experienced or even, read about. And when Lola brought up the topic and started telling me about it, I got excited because it's like, this is a moment where I can start thinking, where am I at my spiritual seasons? And what's happening in my spiritual seasons? So those major themes, those major things that happen in these time periods, I'm starting to be able to notice in my own life, and I'm starting to see what my spiritual seasons are in different aspects of my life. So I
hope that this is going to be what happens for them too. Like you just said that you now that you're aware of spiritual seasons, you're looking for them.
Exactly.
You're looking for the patterns in your life. Mm-hmm. What were you going to say? I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I was actually about to say, kind of hit the nail on the head, but I was going to say that I'm excited about learning about my spiritual seasons, and I hope that through this message, through our podcast, people are going to learn about their own spiritual seasons and be able to say, I'm here right now. So these are the things that I need to do. These are what I'm doing right now. This is what I'm doing right now. These are the things that I need to do for my next steps. And that's what spiritual seasons are.
Yeah. Now, the first time that I got introduced to any sort of pattern to look for in life and in my life personally was years ago. My spiritual leader had me read this book called The Seasons of God. And I think the author's name was Richard Blackaby. And that's like the first time I got introduced to like patterns. And from that point, like I just started thinking about things differently. And I've grown to like see what is continually happening over and over again in my life and like at different stages in my professional life and my personal life, even with my children. Like it's just given me more of a sense of awareness, and now I have like tools in my tool belt to help other people pull out the patterns in their life and to look and to see what's happening. And it helps you because even when you don't know where you're going and what comes tomorrow, if you have an understanding of what season that you're in, it helps to give you some type of boundary at least. Like, okay, I know that I'm in a spring season and I'm having a lot of fresh starts. I'm having a lot of new ideas. That means it's okay for me to explore in this season. That means I have to be okay with not having as many details as I maybe would like in the season. That means I'm not going to have a lot of clarity. I'm not going to have a lot of understanding. But it also means that my leash to try things is a little bit longer because I'm in this fresh place. That means I can do more. Yeah. I got a little bit more flexibility and freedom to mess up. You understand? Yeah, like it's like when we start school, and school is so different now. Like in freaking elementary school, they're preparing kids to go to like college and start picking careers, right? Like they're already on it. Middle school talking to you more, and now in high school, like you better know that you can start getting your degree
Exactly.
in high school, or you can start getting a trade, a skill, and like just go straight to work and make good money. You know what I'm saying? But for us, it was a little bit different. Like we went to school, and maybe when we got to school, we realized that the program that we were studying wasn't what we wanted to study, right?
Right.
Right. But because it was new, it was fresh, we had that wiggle room
Yeah.
to
To learn and to
right,
really
and
like
to shift and be
explore.
like explore and be like, nah, I don't like that, I'm gonna
Yes.
go ahead and change over here, right? So we have that freedom. Thank you, love Jackie, for telling me that we have that freedom to do that. And summer we know that this is where you're in your sophomore, your junior year of college. You've decided your major, you know what you want to do, you have a good understanding of what you want to do, and you have a path to get there. So this is when you start putting in the work. This is when you start focusing. This is when you start breaking away from the pack and getting with people that are going down that path that you're going on. This is the time where you niche down and you focus. Why? Because you have more details.
Oh yeah.
Because you have more understanding, because you have more clarity, because you know what it is you want and you have an idea of how to get there. So you start focusing more, you start niching down, and then you head on into your fall season. This is where you're in maybe your junior and your senior year. You're preparing to graduate, and this is where people are looking at you, they recognize you, they seen the work that you've been doing, they're giving you pats on the back. This is where you start profiting off of the work that you've done. It's where you start getting influence, where you start getting favor, more abundantly from other people.
Yeah.
You know, it's not to say that you can't have those things in other seasons, but this is where you start getting more of that. And then you head into your winter season where you graduate. Okay, you're full on senior, you're graduating, and I don't know what you're gonna do after that. Okay, I didn't think that far ahead, but you're graduating. This is where your time is coming to your time in one area is coming to a close, which reminds me of this saying from Ecclesiastes: "The end of a matter is better than its beginning." The end of a matter is better than its beginning. And sometimes in the winter seasons, we think, oh, this is so sad and somber. But winter is a really cool space to be in because it gives you time to reflect and time to do something that I believe we all should be doing right now, which is simplifying what we're doing and optimizing what we're doing.
Ooh, that was good.
And that's why we joined the broadcast today. That's why I came on. And that's why I want to talk to you all. So let me see. Love Jackie says, has it ever a typical season ever changed for you? For example, fall for me used to be a season where I was resting and traveling. Now I believe that is changing. Has there been something similar for you? Do you want me to answer that, or you want to answer that?
You go ahead and answer.
Okay. So it seems like Love Jackie's question is, has a pattern you've experienced in a season before ever flipped the script on you and changed? Has a pattern you experienced in a season before, a spiritual season before, ever flipped the script on you and change? For me, I haven't noticed that pattern. But that's not to say that that can't happen for you. You know, it's not to say that it can't happen. Like I said, when I start experiencing my spring spiritual season, it's usually in the fall and in the winter. That's usually when it is. It's usually the fall and the winter. I don't really do too many things outside of that in other seasons. Actually, I tried to do something like that this year and the flow didn't work. And I wanted to start releasing our online courses this summer, but too much stuff happened and it didn't work. And I was like, oh, I got outside my flow. I was like, I know what I can do. So let me go back over here to this pattern. So for me personally, that hasn't happened, but it's not to say that can't happen for you. And the fact that you're aware is what matters, because that's like the first step to us identifying patterns, identifying when it's time for us to switch and shift and to know what to do next, which is why like patterns are so cool. So I was talking to Dante about like patterns, and I'm like, everybody uses patterns.
Yeah.
The weather people use patterns. Stock market uses patterns. When we were learning about stock and stock options from Terrace Party, which she's on Facebook, you guys please go and find her. She has a group, and I'll try to put the link in it later on. But when we were learning stock options through Dr. Alexis's Genius Masterclass for stock options with Terrace Party and Tanya Howard Quinn, one thing that our instructors showed us for educational purposes, I have to make sure I say that with financial stuff, for educational purposes, they showed us that the stock market has like patterns that always happen in it. So like patterns is the fact that you can look at something, look at some historical data and find a pattern is like nothing new. So if you're not looking at this and using it to help you win in life, you're really behind in the game. Okay. And I'm not saying that to you to make you feel bad. I'm saying that to you to put a little bit of pressure on you to just think differently. Okay. And just to think about other things like, could this work? And try it. Okay. So let's go ahead and get to this. Thank you, Monica, for putting the scripture up there. We super appreciate it. So today, as I'm in here with my husband, I heard so many people want to stretch and grow, but I don't think this is a season to stretch and grow. I think this is a season to simplify and optimize. And then as I continue to write, I put niche down, simplify, and optimize. And the reason I'm saying that is because there's so much shifting.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You want to say something? I'm sorry.
Actually, I was just going to ask you. No, you're not taking over. But I was going to ask you, what did you mean by shifting? Because I think we should, for people who are thinking about it, they're probably like, okay, well, there's a lot of shifting going on. What specifically are you talking about?
Man, they're shifting in every industry. You hear me?
Yes.
Like everything is shifting from jobs, careers, the workforce, to businesses, business owners. There's just shifts and changes all around us. And you and I were talking about work and jobs, and something that I had written months ago that I didn't even share publicly, but it was just about how a lot of companies are optimizing.
Yeah.
And when we say optimizing, that means that they're simplifying their structure, and sometimes it means that they do mass layoffs.
Yeah.
Because they're preparing for they're bracing for change. They're bracing for an impact, and they're preparing for growth. They're preparing for all of these things, and they don't just keep getting bigger and bigger to do that. They come back and look at their structure. They look at how the business is running, and they figure out how to optimize it, and then how to get ahead of the change that's coming so that they're there when the people catch up.
Yep.
Am I making sense?
It made
this your thing. You go ahead and talk.
The only thing that came to my mind was reorganization. And you see it, you hear about it, you see it all the time in business where they're changing everything to make themselves more efficient. Because what Lola was talking about is getting in front of that change, getting in front of that curve is, in a big business terms, it's how do you make sure that you are either becoming the most efficient company as possible, you're still being able to be profitable with less people, or you are cutting off
the fat.
That way, but yeah,
you're cutting off the fat and you're getting very lean.
You are. And and in order to survive, especially in a changing economy, a changing world, you have to get lean first to then become profitable.
And the same thing applies for so let's take this broad message of how corporations do it, and let's make this something that a creator, a business owner, or just an employee, a working professional can understand. If you're an employee, you're jumping ahead into the future and thinking about what skill set is needed. What's happening within my industry? Is my industry experiencing a slow death?
Yeah.
Or is my industry accelerating?
Mm-hmm.
What can I do to jump ahead of this change? What can I do to get ahead of the curve? And so you're probably wondering, what does this have to do with spiritual seasons? It should bring you into a place of reflection. So if you're in a place of reflection, that means that you're not trying to do everything. So what this message is meant to do today too is give you some peace about getting your hands up out of everything and start reflecting and start to prepare yourself so that you're ahead of the curve, so that you're ahead of change. Dante and I started talking about jobs and the future of jobs, and that was so long ago.
2 years ago, maybe?
Fam, it's been way longer than 2 years. That's probably been, babe, like 3 years ago, maybe even longer. But anyways, we started talking about this stuff like so long ago. And then when this entire upset of 2019 happened and 2020 came, then you started seeing this acceleration just hit just way faster.
Yeah, that's true.
But it wasn't something that started in 2019 and 2020. It actually started probably like 2015, 2016. It started years earlier. Just one thing caused this domino effect and caused it to accelerate even faster. Okay? What are you thinking when I say that?
I was thinking,
because you look like you got something going on over there in the head.
You gave me two thoughts from that, and I want to make sure that it trends with this as well. The first thought was how it literally takes, and sometimes it's not something huge like COVID or the housing bubble to burst for these huge changes to happen. There are underlying signs in business and industries that are happening and that people are slowly adapting to and slowly making changes for. But when these huge occurrences happen, to us it's a surprise because we didn't expect the incident. But these
to
are
us as in,
I'm sorry.
To us as in like everyday people.
Exactly.
To us as in, creators and small business owners, employees, laymen. Yes. To us as everyday civilians.
Exactly.
We don't understand. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, thank you, babe. Thank you for the clarity. To us as in everyday people, it's a surprise and it's a shock. But these are things that companies are noticing and companies are seeing as trends and saying, there's something that may be a change. How do we get ahead of it? So
just like, okay, here's an example. First of all, not only are companies optimizing and restructuring their business models and people, their employees, but you have employees deciding to take a mass exodus from their jobs.
Yep.
Okay. So there's a school of design that I wanted to go to when I was a kid, Parsons School of Design. I wanted to go there. The school that I wanted to go to was in New York. And my grandfather was like, no, ma'am, you don't have enough life skills to go that far from home for school. You gonna stay your tail right here in North Carolina. That's what you're gonna do. Okay. So anyways, this school is a school, design, art, fashion design. That's what I wanted to study. And they have opened their business model up to a new niche market. You know what it is?
No, what is it?
Entrepreneurs.
Really?
Yes. Because they got ahead of what was happening. They saw into the future and said, it's a lot of people wanting to take this American dream thing very seriously with their own businesses. They want to be their own bosses.
Yep.
They want to have employees. They want to have their own companies, and so they got ahead of it. And now they have the manpower, they have the resources to resource entrepreneurs, to resource business owners.
Yep.
And you see other places doing it too. We saw a commercial the other day, IBM. I have not seen anything about IBM
in a while.
Fam, like we don't see IBM anymore.
No.
IBM had a commercial. You know what the commercial was about?
No, what was it about?
Security.
Okay.
Security. Hey, business owner, let us help you protect your customers. We'll keep your cloud secure. They've gotten ahead. They see what's happening and they've gotten ahead. They've looked at these patterns
Yeah.
that we're talking to y'all about. They've looked at the patterns and they've jumped ahead so that they're prepared and not left behind. It's a proverb that says, know the season that you're in, and a wise son you will be. Let me pull that proverb up
I like the emphasis you just made on it too, though.
because it just came to mind. It just came to mind. Somebody said, greetings, Lola and Dante. We can't see your name. I'm sorry. So, greetings right back at you. You sound like Tron Moses the way you said it, though. Greetings.
That does sound like trying.
Yeah. Let me see here. What are you thinking about?
I'm just thinking about one. I'm thinking about how these companies are getting ahead of the curve, and these entrepreneurs are coming and saying, I'm sorry, these people who are exiting the job market and saying, I want to be my own boss, are thinking, this is the time to do it. Things are happening, seasons are changing. It's time for me to get out and do the things that I wanted to do. And right now, they're essentially in the spring season because they're doing something new. They're doing something fresh. They're trying to figure out all of these new options, these new variables.
But here's the cool thing about spiritual seasons. You can be in more than one spiritual season at once.
You're right.
So say, for example, you're someone that's exiting the job market and you're coming into something new. Yes, you're in spring, but if you have 20 plus years of heavy skilling, then your work experience is not in the spring season. You can come out and just take advantage. There's this YouTube channel that I enjoy, y'all. It's my guilty pleasure. This man is called The Lead Attorney. And he is like, I just like watching him. Honestly, not even watching, I'll listen. His streams are so long, but I will listen to them. Like, I will just sit up and do something and just listen. And I'll laugh at him sometimes and I'll cringe other times. And he brings guests on and I'll be like, oh my gosh, who is this person? Like, I really think somebody was drunk one night and on there talking, and like, he was like, and the guy that hosts the show, The Lead Attorney, he's so freaking sweet. His persona comes off so sweet. I don't know him in real life, but he's like, oh, I think you've been drinking there. Well, we're going to have to go ahead and get you off. I'm trying to rock with you, but thank you for coming out. And it's just like, oh my gosh, and other people probably would have been like, click, definitely don't call into the show and you've been drinking. But anyways, this guy has been practicing law for, I think, 19, 20 years, specifically family law. And he started a YouTube channel, and like, if I'm not mistaken, his growth has just spiked up so high in like a year. And it's because he has this wealth of knowledge and he's bringing it to a base and they're interested in it. So it's like he was spring chickening and stuff on YouTube, but he was bringing like his beyond summer. He was bringing in his fall, experience. Yes, he was bringing his junior year over to YouTube, his senior year over to YouTube. So this is my point in saying that. The encouragement to those of you that are listening on here is like, some of you downplay the value that you have. You downplay it. You minimize it. You minimize it because you're comparing it to what other people are doing. But one of the best things that you can do for yourself is sit down with a piece of paper and begin to quantify your experience. Take your experience and make it measurable. Start to look at it, how many years of experience do you have in a particular niche, in a particular industry?
That's a really good takeaway.
How many years of experience do you have with a particular program or procedure? Quantify it, write it out, measure it so you can look and see how valuable you are, which brings us back to the overall theme of this message. Yes, we shared with y'all spiritual seasons. Yes, we talked to y'all about that and talk to you about the inspiration behind it with all the change that we are seeing happening around us. But something that everyone needs to be focusing on right now is not necessarily, I hate to say this because we love the messages that tell us acceleration is upon us, right?
Mm-hmm.
We love those messages that tell us that, you know, the Lord is getting ready to enlarge your territory. We love those messages. But this message is not telling you that. This message is telling you that you need to niche down and you need to simplify and you need to optimize to prepare for the jump. Okay? That's what this message is telling you. I'm sorry. I'm not one of those people, you know.
Why are you apologizing?
Because you know how it is.
I know how it is, but I don't think you should apologize. I think that people who really want what's best for themselves and who want to grow and learn and really get to where they want to go, they'll take this message and say, I hear you. I understand. I'll take that. And I'll take that advice. Don't apologize. It's advice.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
King. Husband.
You gotta stop while I'm smiling.
Groper. Does that what else are you thinking?
I'm thinking I actually want to use one of your takeaways. Write down and quantify everything that you have. Put that on a piece of paper.
It makes a difference, doesn't it?
It does.
Have you ever done that and like measured, like, wait a daggone minute? I might be hot stuff. You know what I'm saying? You're like, seriously.
It does. No, because I was literally doing something recently, looking at qualifications and skills that I have already. So I had to quantify. I had to actually get that down. And it made me feel good. It made me realize that, wow, all of that interactions with the people, interactions with customers,
interactions with management, upper level management, interactions with accounts that are over a certain amount of money. Exactly. That makes a difference.
It does.
Yeah, that makes a difference. I had a job opportunity, and when I got feedback on not getting the job, they're like, well, this person had more experience with this type of account, and that's what we needed. You know, because they have more experience with that, you know, this type of account. So it helps you to absolutely see like what you've done. And I think that sometimes when we're moving so fast, here it comes. When we're moving so fast, we don't have time to sit back and reflect, which is what we said in the beginning of this message.
Exactly.
We don't have time to sit back and look at what we've done and to check off our achievements and our accomplishments and to actually identify what skill that we've grown in, you know?
Yeah.
We don't take time to do that.
We don't.
You know?
We just go from one task to the next one.
Yeah. Okay. So Love Jackie said, I'm with Mr. Dante. She calls you Mr. Dante. That's so cute. Don't apologize. So there's this kid. He calls me Dante's wife. And I just think it's absolutely adorable.
That's hilarious.
He calls me Dante's wife. He doesn't know my name. He probably doesn't even care what my name is. He calls me Dante's wife, and I let him because I think it's just freaking adorable.
I do too.
I am officially Dante's wife and the kid's mother. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, is this such and such's mom? Yes. I don't even say my name. I'm just like, yeah. Yep. What you need? What do you need?
I'm sorry. You made me laugh on that. I want to make a comment real quick because Monica says she's been guilty of downplaying your value. See, you're not the only one who's done that. We've all done that. I know I've done that before. And believe me, Monica, you have value. You don't ever need to downplay it again. In fact, the reason that I was talking about quantifying, well, the reason Lola brought up quantifying what you've done, and the reason that I wanted to reiterate it is because it's so important for you to just realize, like, hey, you've done this. You're not somebody who's not knowledgeable. You have experience. You have things that people need and can use. And you need to make sure that not only do you know it, you have to like feel it. Like, I really do have value. I really do have something to give you guys. I have something to offer that no one can take away because you've earned that experience. That's something that you have.
That was good, babe.
And something you have too.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Oh yeah, I'm getting
feeling
real flirty right now.
no, and I'm feeling woozy, and you over there trying to flirt.
I'm giving you googly eyes.
Stop with your silly
See,
self.
look, as you feel woozy, you getting
I
dreamy.
can't even
I'm looking
focus.
at you.
Listen, y'all, the podcast on spiritual seasons is coming out tomorrow. It's gonna be more in depth. And don't leave if you're about to leave. I have one more thing to say because I want to share like some social trends and stuff that I'm noticing and things that we're changing. But the Smoking Prophet podcast will have our episode about spiritual seasons out tomorrow.
Yep.
And we're really excited about that. In the episode, we're going to talk about what spiritual seasons are and the benefits of them. And then we're going to tell you the patterns and the themes of the spiritual seasons, things to look for. And then from there, we're going to tell you about um, Dante's going to share some of his experience. And then we're going to tell you what to do in each season.
Yeah.
Especially when you don't know what to do. Like, for example, in winter, like we said, you need to be reflecting, you need to be simplifying things, you need to be optimizing things. Like even, okay, so this is cool. Even with the Smoking Prophet, y'all, it just keeps going through these spiritual seasons just over and over and over again. And the funny thing is, I'm thinking about Love Jackie's question in the beginning, like, do your spiritual seasons ever change and just decide to flip into another season? When we first started the process for getting the legal stuff taken care of for the Smoking Prophet, you know what season that happened in?
No.
Cool season month, baby. It happened fall, winter.
Got it.
And then by the time it was completed, I think it was coming into like spring, summer. But we started that fall, winter. I'm telling you, like around this season, Dante said, I'm gonna leave you alone. I'm just gonna give you space because I know that these seasons in your life, like you're gonna start just bubbling over with stuff every season. Every season it does this for me. It's so crazy. Okay, so here is the other thing. Social stuff that we've been noticing. So a lot is changing on social media. If you're not doing video content, you should absolutely be doing video content. We talked to you all about video content, I think a few months ago. I did a vlog on it.
Yeah.
And then the first time we talked to y'all about TikTok and Instagram Reels was in 2020.
Yeah.
So Dante and I did a live Q&A, and someone asked the question about using TikTok. And I said, yeah, TikTok is cool to use. I said, but Instagram has released Instagram Reels, so it would be better for you to be an early adopter on Instagram Reels, because when you're an early adopter, there's not a lot of competition.
Yep.
And you're there to catch the wave when it takes off versus you coming when the wave is already, sky high.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It's like you can't get up there. So we talked about that last year, and now you see Reels is just
blown up.
Reels. I think a lot of the social groups that I'm in, Reels. They're selling stuff on Reels, and it's just like, okay. See, that kind of stuff to me, I'm not super entertained by it. Because I don't like to give my attention to a lot of things because it overstimulates me, and I don't like to be overstimulated. So that's one thing that we want you to pay attention to. Video content. Pay attention to new trends that are coming out. If you have the bandwidth to adopt a new trend, then adopt it. Let me give that a caveat. If you have the bandwidth to adopt a new trend, and that new trend can help you reach your overall goal for whatever it is you're doing on social media, then adopt it. Okay? If it cannot, then you just let other people pick it up and you keep focusing and niching down on what you're doing. Something else that I'm doing on my pages is optimizing things. Like on YouTube, I'm optimizing everything.
Yeah.
We've revamped our thumbnails. I have to go in and optimize titles and hashtags on YouTube and like captions on YouTube. So I have to go in and do that. But we're simplifying and optimizing what we're doing. I'm not trying to go broad. I'm niching down and going deep. I'm trying to get my footing secure where it is. You know what I'm saying? So we're optimizing YouTube. We're optimizing our Instagram page.
Yep.
Something that I'm doing over there is I'm turning basically my tiles into titles. And I haven't mentioned that to you yet.
No, you
I know.
haven't.
I made a note of it. Turn
Turn
tiles into titles. I
I
made
like
a
it.
note of that. But I'm turning my tiles into titles on everything.
Oh.
Everything, like YouTube for sure, my Facebook group for sure, on Instagram for sure. On Instagram, on my personal Instagram, I am. On Pinterest, no, I'm going to try something different over there. But I'm doing that because I'm noticing that if I come across new accounts, I want them to be able to go to my overall page to visit my profile and automatically have kind of like an idea of what type of content they're going to get on my page. And I can't do that by putting a bunch of words onto one graphic. You know what I'm saying? So I'm turning my tiles on my profiles into titles so that people can see it quickly. I'm trying to make things easier for the people that come to my page to see it and to find value in it. Something else we're also doing is just really focusing on our communities.
Yeah.
And again, not trying to grow so broad, but just trying to niche down and to go really, really deep with what we're doing. Okay.
All right. I like
Does
it.
anybody have any questions for us before we get off of here? This was a very spontaneous message, but I'm glad that it's done.
Wasn't it?
How do you feel?
I feel good.
I'm glad you got to open up your little business brain a little bit.
Oh, yeah. That was always fun.
Yeah. And you know, in the group, in our private group, I'm feeling so ill right now. In our private group, I think a lot of people want the business class. Okay. I asked which live class they would want first, business or podcasting, and they said
business.
The majority of everyone said the business class.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm down to do it again.
So it looks like you're going to be teaching soon. Now, something else I wanted to share with you all. For those of you all that are in our private group, the Smoke and Profit Dreamers Ignited, if you're in our private group, we're dropping something for you soon about emails. So we know what happened last week, or was it earlier this week, with the social media outages and a few things. We know what happened, and a lot of people kind of came on and they started talking like, well, this is why you should have this and you should have that and you should have this. Well, we've talked to you all about community outside of social media. We've talked to you about the importance of having your website and building your content library versus just allowing your content to be on a social media feed. And the reason we've talked to you about that is because your content library is your content, and it's on a platform that is made to optimize it, meaning it's made to help people find the content very easily. Facebook has feeds. Twitter has feeds. Yes, they're trying to make it easier for you to save stuff, make collections, make groups on Twitter and all of that. Instagram has feeds. For the most part, these networks are not optimized to make your content easy to be found or searchable.
True.
Your content flows on a feed, and then as new content comes in, your content gets pushed down. Okay. And what it seems like is a lot of people aren't even, I don't know. Anyways, I won't say that. But we've been talking to you about this stuff, about the importance of building a content library, the importance of having your website. Yep. So we're going to start talking to you about email very, very soon, and you starting to connect with your community offline and to be more intimate with them. Our brand, the business side, we help people and businesses create content that builds connection and community.
Yep.
That's what we're big on. So I'm going to start giving you that side of us in the group. And it's going to start with an email. A lesson. I told y'all I'm tired. I'm so sorry. It's going to start with a lesson where we are walking you through the process of using a workflow or an automated sequence for your email system. So I'm excited about that.
I'm excited about it too. And I was looking at you as you were walking, going through that process and doing it. And I was just thinking how it's cool that you're able to give them, because this will be something like a whole visual. So you'll be able to see it as Lola's showing you and teaching you. So it's really cool that you're able to kind of give them the details about how this will work here and going through that process. So you guys, I'm excited for when we do this, because Lola has a lot of knowledge, especially about things like this, that she's really detailed.
Right, because entertainment for me is learning and intellectual stuff. That's why funny that I'm not even interested in TikTok, to be honest with you. I started TikTok a long time ago, and I'm like, I don't want to see all these videos and just stuff flashing before it overstimulates me. I'm not into that, but there are whole audiences that are into that, which is why it's popular. By the way, I think like last week or 2 weeks ago, TikTok hit like 1 billion was it monthly members, or no, like let me pull up the data. So somebody asked a question in here. Monica asked a question, babe.
Okay,
could you pull that?
All right, so Monica's question is turning tiles into titles something necessary for all creators or depending on your audience?
Okay, that's a good question. So let me give you all this stat real quick. This happened on September the 30th.
Oh, wow.
TikTok hit 1 billion monthly users today.
That's awesome.
So monthly, it has 1 billion people that come visit the platform. And there are 7+ billion people in our global population. Population. Papadopoulos. That's pretty interesting. Okay, so Monica asked this question: Is turning tiles into titles something necessary for all creators, or depending on your audience? I think you need to use this season to reflect and to optimize, and to look at what page it's on. For example, I'm not doing that on my Pinterest page. I'm not doing that, but I noticed that on Pinterest, whereas my standard graphics got a lot of prioritization in the algorithms, Pinterest isn't doing that anymore. They're prioritizing video.
Got it.
So now I'm just focusing on videos, which they call them idea pins. And I'm not going to use the turning tiles into titles method over there, because I don't see it working there. But where I do see that working is on my Instagram page, on the personal one, and on YouTube, as far as the thumbnails. Now, depending on the platform you're on, the content you create depends on the platform you're on, and it also depends on you personally and your audience. So, for example, on Instagram, carousels get a lot of engagement. And I shared some of these stats, y'all, in our group. Maybe you didn't see it, which, by the way, I'm going to create some process. I'm going to create a video and optimize the group a little bit better too, so that you all can actually see more of the content that's there, because I'm noticing that we're putting stuff there and sometimes y'all just don't see it. So that means it's not popping up in your timelines. That means you're missing it. But I'm looking at some data that I dropped in the group, and this is from Hootsuite, and I use them. I like them. They are a great resource. They're like HubSpot. But for carousels on Instagram, the average engagement rate is like 1.05%. Okay. The average engagement rate and this was as of January 2021 on Instagram business accounts. The average engagement rate for photos was 0.88%. Okay. The average engagement rate for carousels on Instagram is 1.05%. That means that you need to be using carousels. You need to use carousels there. I'm also noticing with Instagram that the timelines are not really a priority there. I'm noticing that the priority is going to video. So instead of, throwing so much stuff on your timeline, consider doing a reel. Okay? You can put a reel on your profile, on your feed, on your timeline, but just doing a standard post, I feel like some of the juice, unless your account is highly engaged, unless you have a highly engaged um, account, a page, and people are already looking for you to post to your feed daily, I wouldn't necessarily go jump to prioritize that. I would start working on reels and stories. I hope that made sense to you, Monica. Something else I wanted to share too just slipped my mind because I noticed my husband looking in the direction of our daughter's cat. Our daughter is gone, and the cat is just like doing that weird meowing noise.
Yes.
And so when you did that, like I started thinking about him in there meowing, meowing, meowing. Grace and peace, Lady Ty. Okay, Monica, did that make did that make was I being clear? Let's see. Did you hear how low he went?
Yes.
His raggedy tail. Raggedy. I'm going to tag Monica in that picture from Hootsuite so she can see it.
Okay.
And go from there. But I'm waiting to see if anyone else has any questions, anything else to say. When I tell you I'm so daggone tired.
I know.
Yeah, but at least I don't feel like super bad. You know what I'm saying? I just feel tired and mild discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But it's not like super bad. I wish I could just sleep until tomorrow and wake up feeling all the way better. Okay, so Monica Denise said, thanks, that's clear, and that she took notes. Yeah.
Okay, good.
You just gotta see. But with Instagram, like I said, if your page, there it is, this thought came back. If your page isn't one that has super high engagement on it already, and it's not something that your audience expects, then you should shift and start doing IG Reels, which you can post to your feed on Instagram if you want, and start doing stories. But really, I would definitely prioritize those Reels. Something else I was going to tell you too, statistics show that when your profile goes up in followers, your engagement, let me be more clear with this. Statistics show that on Instagram, when your business profiles go up in followers, that the engagement actually drops.
Really?
Yeah. Because someone asked, like, hey, I noticed my engagement, something, something, something. And I'm looking at this data, and I'm like, when it starts hitting a certain area, like, it drops. Yeah. But engagement is really, really hard to get these days, which is another reason why creators should not just be trying to just pump out content. No, it's changing. Oh, that was the other thing too.
Okay.
I was talking to our friend Dion the other day, and was just talking to him like, man, people who have built things with the house of cards is coming down. Like, it's coming down. All of the superficial stuff is coming down. So this is a great time for people to like really, really showcase things that are original. Even when I asked you about a new show that you were watching, the third word you said to me to describe why that show was pleasurable to you was that it was original. You remember? It was original. And that's what people are looking for. They're looking for original stuff. So you don't have to try to pump out content just quickly. You need to be putting out quality content that's original, and then mix that in with content that is curated, meaning it doesn't belong to you.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. That's enough about that social media stuff today. I hope y'all creators, career minded professionals, and you business owners, you side career people, you entrepreneurs. I hope y'all took this message and you can do something with it. The Smoking Profit podcast will have a new. Can you finish out, babe? I'm
Yes,
sorry,
I
I'm
got
so
you.
tired.
No, you're fine.
Thank you.
I will
Bye,
take over
y'all.
for Lola. But Smoking Profit podcast will have a new episode tomorrow. It's going to be about spiritual seasons. So once again, we want to thank you all so much for listening. In that case, hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and we are out. And go say your little bye-bye.
No, babe, I'm tired.
All right.
I love y'all. Bye.
Bye.
You did it.
I tried.